Welcome to this episode of Coffee with Cornell. Join me for a cup and let's talk about the upcoming flu season. Now, we all know the flu season is once again here. Pretty much from October to November, pretty much to March around the country, we're impacted by the flu. Every year, most of your health departments, and the Center for Disease Control advocate and support getting the flu vaccination. Once again, please get your flu vaccinations again this year. For those of you over 65, I believe there's a super vaccination in order to provide you with continuing coverage from the flu. You think about it. The vaccine does not prevent you or from getting the flu. The whole idea is it minimizes the impact of the flu on you. So it hardens your body, if you will, so that the flu, if you do get it, it won't be as long or as severe. That severity is important because typically up until last year when we were fighting COVID-19, between 30 and 40,000 people a year would die from the flu. Last year, it was a very minimal number, I believe less than 100 across the country, but that's because what? We were fighting the COVID-19, we were maintaining social distancing, we were washing our hands, we weren't touching our face, we were wearing masks. All the things associated with fighting a respiratory disease as COVID-19 is, and the flu. So, consider getting a flu shot. Once again, it doesn't prevent you from getting a flu, it minimizes the impact that if you do get the flu, that it will have on you. So, here's some of the concerns for that. The primary concern is that of an outbreak of a flu epidemic while we're still fighting the COVID-19. That's a consideration that we can all get a handle on and prevent. Also, when you think about it, it has a big impact, as the flu always does every year, on lost productivity of not being able to get to work. Wow, okay. The secondary aspect that we all have a personal consideration in is if your colleague next to you is working and he or she has the flu, the aspects, because once again, it's an airborne communicated disease. If they are working next to you and they haven't taken precautions and you're not taking precautions of masking and that sort of thing, well, guess what? The odds are you might get sick as well. You might not be one of those unfortunate people who die from it, but anyone who's had the flu, it wasn't an enjoyable or fun time at all, was it? So let's continue to see what we can do about maintaining that. The other concern is that as that disease is around, we don't want to be able to share that with who? The kids in our household or that we come in contact with, and or with other people that we know as our friends and family outside the work environment. So the whole idea of minimizing the flu's impact is the primary concern we all have. One, from loss of productivity from a business standpoint, your personal health and not feeling well, and the impact it has on your personal life and family life, and just the feeling yucky, right? So here are a few recommendations in regards to how to deal with the flu. First and foremost, get the flu vaccination. The second one is that managers and organizations should probably review their employee manual in order to what? Make a call earlier and sooner if an employee is not feeling well or showing symptoms of the flu. Why? Ask that employee to go home. One, it will speed their recovery. Two, it'll minimize the impact it has on the rest of your organization. The second is update that manual in order to give information for everyone regarding flu considerations. Now, I know a lot of organizations over time have said, hey, just because you're not feeling well is not an indication not to come to work. I understand that. But I think the flu falls into a category, as we're learning, as these diseases that are more communicable and spread within an organization. If one person on your team gets the flu, what's the chance of everybody else on the team getting it who's in close proximity working with them? Pretty high. So you lose that one person for 2-3 days as opposed to losing the entire team for a week. That's an easy business decision, isn't it? Organizations can also include and encourage their employees or their team members to get a flu vaccination. That'll be helpful. The other aspect is for members to consider using, as many organizations have evolved towards a hybrid model of being online with either work products through the terminals, etc. You may not have full capability or full productivity, but it's a lot better being at home when you're working through a flu situation than perhaps being at work. Can't we all agree on that one? Sure. Because after you have that Zoom meeting and you're not feeling well, at least you can lay down, have a cup of tea or have a cup of coffee and work your way through it. So, in summary, it's not easy. The flu season is here. It comes every year. This year, let's take advantage of what we've learned from dealing with COVID-19 and get better prepared to fight the flu, minimize its impact on our organization and on each of our lives. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Coffee with Cornell. Thank you for joining each of our lives. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next. Thank you for joining me.